Thank you so much for staying tuned to this channel. Welcome to another edition of Africa Discourse. I am Wilson Omashos. And so apologies for coming slightly behind schedule. We have to make sure that all is on the ground to give you at least a near perfect show. Today, it's all about what is happening in Libya. Since the death of Muammar Gaddafi, pundits have been saying that Libya hasn't been the same again. After fighting, after being able to call the strongmen of Libya to a round table to have a unified government. Yes, Abdel Hamid was asked to lead Libya because he's gotten the massive support. And of course, there have been some skirmishes around there of resistance, but it has been put to rest only for 2 days ago. Yeah. Another uprising was encountered. And this time around, it's coming from a legal arm or a legitimate, so to speak, if that's the right one, legitimate arm of government, talking about the House of Representatives. They're not the one bringing up what is called a parallel government. Abdel versus Fatih, the new leader of that parallel parliament in Libya. Some are saying there are rumors of coup. Others are saying no. There mustn't be a coup in Libya. We have to continue so that we can have our election for our country to move forward. Hence, there was a show of force by some military personnel from Tripoli, Benghazi, you just name it, in support of the government of Abdel Hamid. Do you think this would be enough to really maintain law and order? Because as we speak right now, there is already a parallel government in the House of Representatives, and that is going to form cross of our discussion in today's edition of Africa Discourse. With me here in the studio, I have a clergyman, a political analyst. Join me to welcome Apostle Kaude Adebosi. Welcome to Africa Discourse. I appreciate your coming.
Thank you for seeing me.
All right. And so very close to him, he is a lecturer, a prof, a political analyst, public affairs commentator, both local and international politics. Is well grounded. Join me to welcome Professor Anthony Ijore. Welcome to Africa Discourse.
It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. Were you surprised when this news featured into the atmosphere that there is a parallel government right now in Libya? Let's take it up from there.
Yeah, I'm not surprised because it's a common phenomenon among African leaders. I don't know why it's like that, but it's most unfortunate, because I thought with the post-Gaddafi's era, where it was running a one-man government, though some of his supporters will say, well, the average Libyan was able to enjoy good things of life, good quality of life and all that and all that. But if you look at the system of government it was running, it was not known in any political books. It was running the government with his children and relations and what have you. That's not a democratic government. It's not military either. So that's why I said the type of government was running was only known to himself. So I would have expected that since Libya within Gaddafi's period had some really nasty experiences in terms of dominant, a Dracula government, and that people will now learn, Libyans will now learn lesson and move strictly to a democratic system of government. Well, to some extent, I want to give them kudos because they try to move towards that direction, whereby they scheduled election for December last year, presidential election and other election. But unfortunately, the power that be, the militia and those in the House of Reps and some other people loyal to the government in power never allowed that to be, and perhaps that is why they now say, okay, if that being the case, let's appoint a government, temporary government that will run the affairs of the country until they finally organize, schedule another election date and all that. So, you know, there are so many interest groups in the whole thing, and that is why they are where they are today. So many interest groups, and I don't think that will help in democratic system of government, because if you look at a country like Afghanistan, where rebels have taken over, came up with Islamic rules and regulations and all that, and if case, no, I thought Libya should be graduating from there, because the Libyans are far more advanced than that. And okay. I think the average Libyan was very happy that they are not going democratic. And that is why some of us are not surprised with the protests that are presently going on.
All right, all right. Senior Apostle and, of course, Prophet, I believe you've been monitoring the situation when the news featured into the atmosphere that Libya is at it again. There's supposed to be an election last year. Due to disagreements here and there, it was shifted. Date and time not yet known. Right now, it's like the House of Representatives are not happy with the outcome of the supposedly shifted election and all that. Hence, they choose to bring out someone, a new prime minister, president of FATGI, to really go out there to push the government into conducting an election for Libya. But Abdel Hamid is not in tune with what that part of government is doing. Now, what do you feel about all this scenario?
Yeah, we give thanks to God Almighty for taking control of Libya's affairs. You see, from the day one when this issue arises, from the taking over up to this moment, they are just trying to put things right. And that is why you see, when they look at the whole situation, they bring ideas. Is this thing going to work to their own purpose? Then idea come. They bring ideas. The best thing is to shift so that they will still dig the real thing that they want. They've not gotten what they want, and that is why the shifting of the thing comes over. Let's come back to our home. You see, by the time we learn from all these people that are making mistakes now, we will have a strong government. You know, our own is when they've already choose whom they want, nobody can change it. And that is why we are still having problem with our own government. Now, look at Libya. Since Gaddafi is no more, the whole thing become, they are just trying to put things right. During his own time, yes, he tried. But the system is not working. It's not working. Why? And shifting of an election is very, very costly. You know that. And for them to do that, they know that they want to get the best. And I wish if our country can learn from all this. Because when we conduct our own election, either you win or the end is to go to court. And court can decide anything. And that is why they don't want to make mistake. And I hope Nigeria will learn from this.
All right. I hope Nigeria will learn from this. Take a look at it from the scales of right and wrong. The new power of government headed by a new prime minister is saying what Abdel Hamid did was wrong. They had a plan. They had a timetable. But due to some circumstances, they didn't really go down too well with some Libyans. And of course, some members of the House of Representatives are saying that Hamid is trying to do something fishy. And they need to really hit on the calendar for Libya to enter into democracy full time. And Hamid, on the other hand, is saying, look, you guys are destabilizing the government. In this scenario, if you're asked to be a judge on the scales of who is right and wrong, who are you going to hit the blame on?
Well, before I answer that question, I think we have to look at what are the beauty of democracy. You know, what are the beauty of good governance? I think these are the issues here. I think the average Libyan wants to graduate from an obscure government, a government that is not in the committee of civilized nations, you know, are not recognized. You know, so I think Libya wants to belong to the committee of nations, civilized nations. And that is why you see the members of the House of Rep and the average Libyan on the streets, are not too happy with the previous government. And the man they presently put in the helm of affairs, is from Tripoli, well known. To some extent, was an apostle of Gaddafi, and was a hench former military man. Therefore, he's a very popular figure. And for God's sake, he was brought in to stabilize the political system, so that a well-articulated program, design, fashion election, we formally take place, whereby all these political rigors, all these political truancy, can be avoided. And so I think I'm on the side of trying to ensure that there is a well-organized election, so that Libya, for once, can be recognized, highly recognized in the Committee of Nations. So that's why I lean on those who are advocating, for that type of government. So I think there's another. And why? Is because in democracy, there are rules and regulations. There's a constitution, which members, stakeholders in Libya must follow. And if they have to follow a laid down constitution, then it will solve this problem, to shelve this problem of unnecessary political sentiment, religious sentiment, tribal sentiment that we are presently experiencing. And when that is done, for God's sake, Libya will be born again politically, and is at the end of the day for the good of the average Libyan, because the world will now recognize Libya not formally as, if you like, a terrorist nation, but a more civilized nation. And democracy is where they are going to get that respite. Yeah.
All right. In democracy, they're going to get the respite. And for what he said in support of the particular group that are clamoring or pressing for Libya to conduct the election as in to follow the old plan. And that is where some members of the House of Rep choose to push up a prime minister to conduct the election. But now, the current leader backed by NATO is not happy by that move. How do you feel about this?
Nama. You see, there must be a clash. They are trying to build understanding.
Yeah.
This is the former one, they are not comfortable with it. Then, how are we going to reshape it? You bring your own idea, I bring my own. They now compare the two. So, they want the best. That's why you see this argument came in. And I'm very sure at the end of the day, they are going to get the best, because they are ready to reshape all what has caused the former problem.
But can they reshape in the presence of rank or in-house fighting?
No. And that is why it takes time. It takes time. And you will see, I'm telling you, because even we here in Nigeria, we pray for them, because many of our people are there, and we know whatever happened to them there, it affects us. And that is why we want them to have a strong democracy, strong one, that can lead them to the promised land. They know they've got it wrong before, but what they're after now is to get it right. And God Almighty will help them.
In addition to what I said, I think the present leadership, out of selfish political interest, do not want to leave power. Is typical of the average African leader. Doesn't want to leave power, want to hold onto power. And for God's sake, is naturally going to have some disciples, who will also be benefiting from the government. So they are the ones teaming up to see how they can delay elections, so that they can continue to be relevant in the political affairs of the Libyans. And I think it is most unfortunate.
But some are saying that this is like a coup, but this time around from the government itself. Do you view it as that? Because right now nobody was disposed, but they have a parallel government. Can you liken it to a coup?
Well, not really. I would say a semi-coup. Semi-coup in the sense that you have a parallel government in the House around the present government. But I think at the end of the day, the present government is going to collapse. It's going to collapse because we are looking at what the majority are saying. Even though it has some foreign support, but we know that advanced nations like Britain, US, and the rest of them, by the time it matters most, and they discover that the average Libyan actually want democracy, I mean, they will go with the majority. They will go with the majority. So I think it's a question of time. The president and government is going to collapse because you cannot go against what the majority wants to your selfish interest. Yes, that's what I've seen the whole thing.
All right, now, do you see the collapse of this government? Because right now, it's just starting.
To me, you see.
No, not the man that was appointed. I'm talking about
the
yes.
ones that
Exactly.
Paragraph.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
You see, if they are doing it with one mind and with good faith, it will surely not work. But if they are doing it with another thing else, believe me, they will surely collapse. Yes, that's the truth. Because the transparency now is there. Yes, they know that, yes, the majority, they want the best. They want the best. So, who go first? It's the majority now. And I know God will. I always pray for Libya. That country.
Because you have connect there in Libya. All right, now.
A lot of Nigerians are there.
Yes, I have my brothers there, friends.
Yes,
no.
yes.
Okay, people like say that this may just be another fire that may just ignite another war in Libya, despite the efforts put on the ground to make sure that there is peace and stability in Libya. But with this one now burning, it may just start burning uncontrollably. Do you have that opinion and view?
Me?
No, Prophet,
okay.
Yes.
To me, with what is on ground, I don't think there is going to be any war again, but
exactly.
I don't think. In fact, Libya issue, when you brought it, I feel it. And I know God in heaven will not allow any war to happen in Libya again. Libya has been a country that many of us will run there now. So we are not expecting any war. It's not going to take place. God will surely intervene because they are patient enough.
Okay, now he keeps on bringing divinity into this issue. He keeps on saying God will not allow this to happen. But what if the man factor is pushing for it to happen? What then?
Yeah, there's a popular saying that God help those who help themselves. And so you cannot say, oh, you are more religious than the Pope. And you see a trailer on very high speed, and you say, oh, with God all things are possible, and you go and stand in front of the trailer, for God's sake, you crush the individual.
Okay.
I think with the little I know about the Bible, the authority is here. Is that as much as possible, like the Bible told us, any condition you find yourself, you use wisdom.
Yes,
you use wisdom. So I think, in view of what has happened previously, I want to go with him that the Libyans, I think, to some extent, they've learned some lesson. If you look at those in the protests, members of the protesters, you will see that there are females involved, which has never happened in the history of Libya. So, which means there's a semi-improvement in terms of the Islamic stronghold on the opposite side, the female folks. So I think that's an improvement. Such thing can never be thought of some years ago, where females will come out and be protesting side by side with the males. Yeah. So I think all those are signs that the average Libyan want to see a big change, a drastic change. And that change, they can only experience it under a democratic system of government. And since majority are hungry for democratic system of government, because some of them have really traveled, that's another dimension. Some have traveled out of the country, some are studying abroad where democracy is at play, and all that. So they feel very naive, very sorry for themselves that, while I was in the US, while I was in Britain, I saw the beauty of democracy. So when they come home, they are naturally going to be activists of democracy in Libya. And most of the House of Reps, I remember during the time Gaddafi, he sent most of them out, to advanced nations like US and the rest to go and study. And so by the time they came back, they now came with new ideas, new philosophy, about what a good system of government should look like. And most of them are members of the National Assembly. So that is why, and they've sold these ideas to their citizens. Therefore, what we are seeing presently is a modern, attitude to governance. Not the Islamic rich type of government. Their eyes have now opened with their, various trips. Most of them are made abroad and all that. They've seen that the culture is changing. It's changing gradually. And that is why I strongly believe that the masses, at the end of the day, are going to have their way, because they have seen the beauty of democracy. In fact, the social media is also, so this is also helping. And this idea of we want to belong to nations that run democracy, that are civilized and all that and all that. So that is why I believe it's a revolution. It's a political revolution that no person can stop. It has started, and they must have their way at the end of the day.
All right, you heard him. He said it's a political revolution. Yes. No person can stop it. It has started. They're going to have their way at the end of the day. On return, we'll continue with this discussion. Do you see other warlords cashing in on this discord and governance to wreak havoc in Libya as a country? Don't go away. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for staying tuned to this channel. If you just joined us, this is Africa Discourse. We are taking a look at the crisis in Libya, where some people termed it a kind of a partial coup, in the sense that it's coming from the House of Representatives, occasioned by the delay in, moving Libya towards democracy. Yeah, some members of the House of Representatives choose to bring up a new prime minister, mandating him to go out there and conduct election ASAP. Why Hamid was like saying that, look, these things you guys are doing is destabilizing the country. Why not wait for us to have a smooth landing before we talk about election? The press of you trying to push Libya so fast may just end up causing more chaos, to the extent that the military are now taking side. Yes, and the big question now is this a recipe once again for disaster in Libya? Is this a recipe for, discordant tunes in government about plunging Libya into the post-Gaddafi era? Don't forget that it took them quite a while, number of years to start getting it right. And now it's like they are missing it again. Let me come to you, Apostle. Now, do you see some warlords? They've been there. The strong men of Libya, they are there in various cities trying to lay claim of their own territory. Do you see them coming back because of this crack in governance?
To me, with what I've observed and with what I've seen so far and with their past experience, those strong people you are seeing, I believe with what is on ground now, the masses have moved with force. Women before, they don't participate in all this.
Yeah.
But now, you can see that they move. They want the change. They want that democracy. So for those cabal to be strong more than what they are, there's no chance again. Yes, they mean what they are saying. And I know with men of God that pray for Libya, you see, they will have a
It's
strong...
like you have this passion for Libya.
I'm telling
I
you,
totally
that's my
understand.
people there.
You have this passion for Libya.
Yes, because it's a country that, I love that country. Yes, and that is why we pray for them that, God, give them a good government. Government that will lead them well. We don't want to hear war here. No. And you see, it will surely be.
You're right.
Yeah.
And if you really look at it, to add to what he's saying, Hamid, it belongs to the analog system of government in Libya. And therefore, it has all these supporters, like I said earlier, who have formed a cabal. But the modern Libyans, are seriously represented by members of the House of Reps because of their exposure. And they've tasted democracy. They've seen the beauty. And they are saying, hey guys, we cannot start retrogressing. We must move forward.
Yes.
If this analog Hamid tends to be dragging the country back, to hell with him. You cannot just sit down from nowhere and start, pulling the shots. No. Rather, let's appoint an acting prime minister who will be giving a mandate, a calendar, political calendar, as to when the election, a new election date will be fixed. So it's a case of moving forward. And if you look at the average Libyan on the street, I think they have, this analog attitude to governance. I think they have forgot. They are crazy about digital, attitude to governance. And that is why they are going with the majority. There's a limit to what Hamid can do, because there's a burning desire among the youths in Libya and those representing their interests in the House of Assembly. So that is why, at the end of the day, I still strongly believe that they are going to have their way, and the Hamid government is going to collapse. Yes, it's going to collapse. I think people should learn to, feel the political temperature of their people, and go along. You drop your personal interest aside and go along with. You see, if you look at most developing nations, which are dominant in African setting, the problem is people are just power drunk. You would have expected some of our leaders, even including Nigeria, to learn lessons from people like Nelson Mandela of blessed memory. Whereby at a point he discovered that, hey, I don't think I can continue again to be president of a whole big South Africa, and with all the sacrifices he has made, 23 years in prison.
7.
Yes, and they were doing everything to entice him, if he should agree with the white government, you will be released and all that. He said, no. I want my people to be free. And if you are not moving towards that direction, I beg, forget it. I'm ready to die in prison. Those are the type of leaders we're talking about. Is it Gandhi and all that? Gandhi and so I think the average African leader should learn lessons from this genuine and dedicated leader who believes that their interest is national interest. Their interest should be national and not personal or political interest. So that is why to those on the other side, the analog people, they should see the trend that the Libyans are following the new political trend of Africa in the world, and not this Hamid attitude, analog attitude to governance. That's why Songwe believe is going to collapse. So it should rather flow with what the people want, because even if they go out on the street to protest, those who are in support of modern democracy, they will be majority. So, and as we normally say in democratic system of government, majority must always have their way.
Yes. Will not have their say.
Yes.
All right. Now, we are still very much talking about the situation right now in Libya. Some are saying the reason why this thing is happening is because one way or the other, the present government have overstayed their welcome. That is the reason why we are having this agitation. Let us go out there to vote. The time given to you to organize a new government has elapsed. What are you waiting for? I mean, do they really make sense in the agitation?
Yes. Yes. They need to go and vote and choose whom God has chosen for them. You see, when the situation gets to this point, and they know that, yes, they need what it makes the government to stand, let's go and vote genuinely. Genuinely. Yes.
But can they go out there to vote in the presence of rancor and uncertainty on the streets?
No.
Even the cities right now, you're going to see massive protest, for and of course against.
Look, what I'm seeing in Libya issue, you see, they are pressing now that they want to vote, but they want to vote the right people that will govern them and let them enjoy what we call democracy. And democracy has its own guideline that guide them to be able to feel free, enjoy what they have, not for all those people that myself. And that is why they need to vote. Yes. Genuinely. If they vote genuinely, they will surely pick the right person. And they will surely move forward. And they are the majority. So you see that they will succeed. But it may take many arguments before they get there.
It's kind of scenario Nigeria also experienced some years ago. Yeah. Remember the late Sani Abacha, whom the cap fits and all that. 5 million march
to Abuja,
to Abuja and all that. You know, and at the end of the day, what happened? You know, the masses had their way. You know, those people know this cannot work, and people did everything to ensure that he doesn't, and you know, get into civilian government, you know, illegally. And Nigerians did everything to make sure it doesn't work. And at the end of the day, to borrow what they told my friend I've been using, God intervened.
Yes,
you know, and he couldn't get there, couldn't smell. So I think in the case of Libya, God will also intervene.
Yes.
But God will also intervene.
Yes.
People are not dragging God into all this.
It's God that can do it.
Come on. But now, some are saying that the reason why Hamid may succeed, even though it will be like, you know, skirmish of protests here and there, despite the delay in the timetable, is because he has the backing of NATO. How true is this?
Well, you know, in situations like this, there's always propaganda. There's always serious propaganda. They'll give the impression that all is well, you know, and all that. But the democratically advanced nations that I know, like US and co, even NATO you are talking about, where the US, I don't think they will love a government that is a barrier to the advancement of democracy. Because that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. It's a barrier to democracy. It's a clog in the wheel of, you know, a good and democratic system of government. I don't think America will be happy. Election has already been scheduled to take place in December, and from nowhere you are postponing. Even if America was your friend before, they'll start looking at the leader again and say, hey, what are you up to? What's happening, to use their slang? What's happening? You know, this is not it. So America, I don't see from the trend of things, I don't think the Americans will be happy where a leader is a wheel of clog in the spirit of democracy. I don't think they'll be happy with him. Rather, they'll prefer to go with the masses who want democracy to take place. This man is selfish. He's unnecessarily selfish. Because, I mean, you've been in governance. What is the problem? What is the problem? Like some of our leaders in Africa, you have seen it all. You made so much money in Lagos. And we expect that by now, go and take care of your health. You know, but you are still struggling, even when sometimes you go for public affairs, your clothes are getting wet.
Let's go back to Libya right now, please. Let's go back to Libya.
Libya. We need to compare.
I know that.
I didn't mention any name.
Of course I know. Yes.
So I didn't mention any name. But we are saying Africa. You now say Nigeria is no longer part of Africa.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe there's a new theory to that. I don't know. You know, but the point I'm still making is that African leaders should learn to see their nation as the main project, as the main reason why they are interested in governance. I think that is the point I'm making. That's the point I'm still making. And leave this their personal, primordial, selfish attitude, sentiment. You know, I think when they, you see, you know what? Most African countries, they have resources. The problem is governance. Japan, 80% of their resources, raw materials are imported. Yet, they are one of the most advanced technological nations of the world. Why? Because
good government.
Yes, good government.
Yes.
Because good government also means that the little resources you have, you control it to the interest of who? Your people.
Masses.
The masses. You create enabling environment. It's like what is happening in Edo State. You know, Edo State is almost becoming the hub of businesses in Nigeria because of the leadership there. You know, you see at General Hospital now, they don't just practice medicine, you know, locally. What the governor has done is also to link the Nigerian doctors to doctors abroad. So there may be issues that a Nigerian doctor may not be able to handle very well, perhaps because of level of technology. Then they can, you know, interact with other doctors abroad. I think that is the modern way of handling nation, and that is a leader. You know, that is what I see in the beauty of Obaseki. You know, a leader who cares about. Is not looking at the immediate gains of the people in Edo State.
Can we please now go back again to Libya right now?
Yes,
There's a reason for that.
It's the same Africa. We are talking Africa now.
Listen, what I'm saying here is that we're looking at leadership, good leadership.
Yeah.
And we're saying in the process of doing that, you cite one or two examples to show how what an ideal leader is supposed to be.
Thank you, Prof.
The point I'm making.
Thank you, Prof.
That's the point I'm making.
Thank you for making your point. I do understand, but it's my job to take you back on track.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Now, if you take a look at Africa, right, that's been plagued by, you know, various numbers of coups. West African region, if you go down to the eastern part of Africa, you go down to some other countries, you get to here, close to 5 or 6 or 7 countries have been affected right now by this coup d'etat thing. Now, with this trouble right now, in the transition government in Libya, these are civilians trying to, you know, make Libya better for them to have a democratically elected leader. But with this trouble on the ground, do you see the military coming back to take over?
No. No, the military, to me, the way I reason with the military, they are trying to put things right so that the good government can be in power. Not to come and rule, the way I think. And if that is what they have in mind, I believe it all well, but not to come and rule. They will come, you know, they have the power, they have the weapon to rearrange things. And I believe that is what is going to happen.
Are you now seeing them coming to Libya right now to rearrange things?
Please, to rearrange, not to come and rule.
I think you step down, let's get to see democracy. Is that what will happen in Libya?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You see, the military, with the way I observe and with the way I think what they are planning, is to rearrange this political body to come over and do the right thing. Not for them to come and rule. Yes.
Not for them to come and rule.
Yes.
Well, the way I found to add to what he has said, when that is why the Libyans are clamoring for a democratic system of government. The constitution is going to be there. And a constitution is like a roadmap that guides those in government. You know, so my strong belief that once the constitution is there and is seriously operated, well operated, the military cannot smell takeover, a coup. They will not think about it. No. You know, but like you rightly said, you know, they may, with the African setting, they may just, you know, these are political rascals. They can just come in, take advantage of the situation and say, hey, it's not our fault. There's going to be chaos. We can't fold our hands and allow the country to, you know, to start experiencing a civil war or civil crisis. Therefore, That's why we decided to come. But it would be most unfortunate, to be most unfortunate. But I think with the constitution that is guiding Libya presently, and if it's well seriously operated, the military have no chance of taking over government. But that doesn't mean it cannot happen.
That doesn't mean it cannot happen.
Yes.
So you're saying that there's a possibility of it happening?
Yes.
Well, quite interesting. Now, another question is this, Prof. I'll come to you shortly. But I'm saying that since your position, so to speak, on the parallel government is coming from the House of Representatives, do you see them being disbanded by the government of Hamid for peace to reign? Because right now, as we speak right now, there's a parallel government which cannot be disputed, though there's this tussle already. Now, for Hamid to get total control, full control, some are suggesting disband the members of the House. Do you see him doing it?
It doesn't have the power constitutionally. Constitutionally, it doesn't have the power.
Yes.
So if it goes beyond, because the...
if you talk about constitution, do they have the right to form a parallel government also? If you want to go by the constitution,
Yes.
do they have the right to form a parallel government?
Okay. Well, what about, we say a good government must be seen to be responsible. Has that mean be responsible? Election was to take place. Now, before election timetable was approved, who approved it? They are members of the rep. It's not Hamid that approved the So if what they have approved, and that is why when INEC is organizing elections, they must go to the House to present what they want to do. And if at the end of the day, the House will approve their timetable for elections. So if one political lunatic had decided to say no, is going to put his feet on it without giving genuine reason and without carrying members of the House of Reps along, you know, I think that's the bottom line. He didn't carry members of the House. So all of a sudden, are they military regime whereby in the name of in charge of government, therefore I can just because he has one or two support from across the border, and now say, oh, in view of that, he has all the support. He can rape democracy, and I think that is wrong. That is wrong. So that is why at the end of the day, I believe the majority are with the members of the House of Rep, and that's why I believe they will succeed.
All right, now over to you now. Is this the beginning of the end of Abdel Hamid's government in Libya, since there's a parallel government already?
Yeah, well, when you call it the beginning or the end, the picture that we are seeing in future of Libya, I believe that is the beginning of success to Libya.
Beginning of success to
Yes.
Libyans. Okay.
Because by the time they succeed in conducting election and everything stands still, they will break through. But with what they are dragging now, I know, I always call God, because
Here we go again. Divinity.
I always
Okay.
call God,
Yeah.
God intervention. I know God will intervene and He's going to put things right for them. They have good motive, and that is why they want the masses to go and vote. And when they vote, you see that Libya will be one of the best countries in the world.
Wow. Libya becoming one of the best countries in the world.
Yes.
Some are saying that may just be a wishful thinking. Others are saying it's possible for it to be the best country
Yes.
in the world. Now, to call it a wrap of this discussion, which way do you think they should go? Hamid Awad is saying the situation is not ripe for an election. The House of Rep members that form the parallel government, they are saying you are delaying. You have to have conducted this election since last year. December. So if you really want to be like a peace advocate, what advice will you render to both parties? About to you, Prof.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the advice I render is that since democracy has to do with majority opinion, or majority vote. So I think Hamid should take it easy if he doesn't want his downfall, because you can't go against the people. It's like what I'm seeing as like the people's parliament. You can't go against the people's issue. If he should use force, then like what you predicted may come to pass. There may be military takeover, and that will not help both sides. So when it happens like that, I think most of the advanced nations like US, Britain, and the rest, they will be on the side of the majority. And they will be, so if I were Hamid, he has seen it all. He should allow peace to reign and allow election to hold. You know, I want to believe the House of Reps may have discussed this matter with him before and say, look, allow this election to hold. Maybe in secret they must have discussed this thing. And I strongly believe he was stubborn to the whole thing. And it's like a snake. You are pursuing a snake, and it gets to the wall, no other place to run to. It will reverse and face you. And I think that is what is happening with the reps. They must have discussed this thing with him before, and it seems to be stubborn. And since they're interested in moving forward, ensuring that Libya now enjoy modern democratic system of government, the next alternative to take is to swear in a prime minister who they have given a mandate that within a period of time he must organize a national election. And I think that's what majority supports.
Over to you now, Prophet, your last line on this discussion. A mandate has been given to a new prime minister. And of course, Hamid supporters are saying, no, this is not good for democracy. If you were to advise these two groups, what would be your advice?
My advice to the situation on ground is let peace reign. He has already tasted the government, he knows what is there, but he's trying to hold to what is not supposed to. So he should allow them to go for election and let peace reign. And God Almighty will help Libya.
Yeah, you love Libya.
Because what's he going to lose?
I wish you loved Libya the way you love. I wish you loved Nigeria the way you love Libya.
No, I've advised Nigeria several times. All these people that they are trying to recycle, we don't need them again. I'm telling you.
All right.
It's glaring now.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on today's show, Prof.
Come on.
I appreciate you also. Thank you so much for your opinions and, of course, for your views on this particular discourse. Well, we are watching. Hamid government right now has been threatened by a parallel government from a credible source, talking about the House of Representatives. The reason being that, according to them, Hamid is not working with the timetable. There are delays in conducting the first election right now, so to speak, since the death of late Colonel Gaddafi. They say they want an election, and this is just a transition government. But Hamid is for dragging, according to the new prime minister that was elected by the parallel, how will I put it now, government. You see the parallel government becoming the main deal that will lead Libya into democracy, or there'll be chaos, or better still, Hamid will do the right thing. That is, if Hamid will choose to do the right thing. Ask just to watch and report back to you. See you tomorrow, God willing, on International Forum. Bye for now.